All right. What's going on, team? We are heading into Chelsea on this fine Thursday morning on Bike Talk with your host, with your loquacious host, your no, I don't know, I was gonna come up with a couple of like the king of verbosity, the leader of loquaciousness, the talkative tuna, I don't know. Anyway, oh wow. So if a bike is not allowed on the sidewalk, why is a vehicle like this allowed? Seems sorta inconsistent. But anyway, so let's see, what do we want to talk about today? I had a great call yesterday with Rob, who is a TV producer, television, movie, film producer. Has created, produced, sold hundreds of shows and things. And he's taken an interest in the Bike Talk format. I guess really all I did was just stick a camera and upload it to YouTube, because I didn't really produce very much here, as you can tell. And I kind of explained that, you know, and we went through it, and he had some really great ideas, which made me think like, well, maybe this is something worth investing a little more time and energy in, because I'm realizing that most people are not really that interested in 40 unedited minutes of just unproduced, you know, unedited talking about whatever. And then maybe this could be, there's a few steps. I think there's a few steps that I can do before, you know, for like another milestone. Oh my God, I'm already winded. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt right now. It's like gonna be 85 today. Again, end of September, 85 degrees in New York. So I think some of the things I want to test out are, wow, there's a Parks Department. Oh, they have a, that's AH9816. It's a 4x4 white truck sitting on the sidewalk right here. Shouldn't be there. Don't know why. But it's got a "Your choices behind the wheel matters. Your choices matter" bumper sticker, like a Vision Zero bumper sticker. It's like, that's funny. It would be funny if it wasn't so sad and depressing. So yeah, so I'm just going to talk through what I think some improvements could be here. I think one thing I want to test is getting a wireless lav mic, so that you don't have to deal with all the wind, which is super annoying. I listened to a few of these, and the wind really is pretty shitty. When you're biking, you're obviously going 10 miles an hour. You're creating wind. It's like standing in wind. But then on top of that, if there actually is more wind, it's pretty rough. You can make out the words, but it's not pleasing to your ear. And I think there's an easy fix with that, which is really just get this lav mic and then automatically splice the audio from the mic in with the video from the GoPro. And I think I can do that in the command line, so I don't even have to edit anything. So we can start there, just get the audio better. Number two is probably a little bit of planning. So perhaps these don't need to be twice a day, 5 days a week. For me, I can't really help myself, right? I'm already commuting, and I'm already recording these things because of the crap that you see but and as an insurance policy basically. But and every day you really don't know what you're gonna encounter. Like this Ryder truck, which looks a whole lot like the other truck, but a different truck in the exact same configuration, with a dude on headphones looking at his phone, completely in the bike lane, halfway blocking the traffic lane. If you're gonna do that, man, just take up the traffic lane. It forces drivers to slow down. Anyway, so here we go. We got a Honda HDU 2594. We got 10478 BB. Countywide transit in the bike lane. They're just doing their jobs in the bike lane. Their jobs require them to break laws. Keep that in mind. All of their commercial transportation, any kind of job, I'm just doing my job. You're also breaking laws. They are very, very poorly enforced, if ever enforced, laws, but they're still laws. These are laws. I can point you to, actually I can't because I don't really know, I'd have to Google it, but chapter 80, subsection, 12 dash whatever, which is some rule. Actually, no, that's TLC. There's another one that clearly outlines that bike lanes are bike lanes, or bikes only. It's effectively a no standing anytime lane. Anyway, so back to the good part. So it's a walking lane. It's a walk to your car lane. It's a door is halfway into the door zone lane. So this door is straight up like halfway out. And that's the infrastructure, quote unquote. I don't know, it's just some goddamn paint, very poorly thought out. It creates conflict between everybody. So that's microphone. I think there's some planning, like producing, I could do to sort of prep these a little bit better, and maybe don't do them as frequently. At least don't upload them as frequently. So maybe you'll get only 1 or 2 sort of episodes each week. Maybe just the highlights, something like that. Wow, this is great. So this dude, 77998JZ 718 building is the phone number. He's just blocking the whole bike lane there. Now that's a Sharrows lane, which means share the road. That's a share the road lane. So you can see that the truck driver is sharing the road by taking up the whole goddamn road. CC Rentals, nicely done, A+. They are outside of the bike lane. Well done, guys. This guy is not. 37893MJ. A U-turn going on here. That's illegal. 5748 DC, Massachusetts plates. So my main concern is editing and setup, right? Part of what I do here is it's super easy to just throw on my helmet, get on a city bike, and ride on out, hit record, and just do it. Oh, FAD 7853 and his Volkswagen just went through a red light. Yeah, I saw that happening a mile away. Huh, what's going on over here? So the problem is I can't really edit very much. I mean, like technically I could, although it's been a number of years since I edited video, so I'm pretty out of practice and kind of don't want to. But I'm gonna treat this red light as a stop sign. I'm gonna stop, look both ways, and then go on through. There is literally nobody around here. And then I'm gonna, yep, I can already hear there's speeding drivers right behind me on Riverside Drive. Like this guy on his phone, V92KTF. Jersey. Oh, and it's a car in the park. Check this out. What is going on here? AZ2760, City of New York. Just hanging out on his phone. What are you doing, man? Fleet, zero emissions. It's a zero emission, but it's 100% a car. And 100% cars, 100% block entrances and exits to parks where people walk with their children and dogs and with their feet and expect a safe way to get through, and not somebody sitting in their zero emission fleet vehicle on the middle of a park. So yeah, editing is tricky. I don't want to edit, but I realize that there's no way around it because I am not that good. Nowhere near good enough to be like an unedited conversation with myself is going to be that entertaining, but I've done it this far for this long. This is episode I think 32 or 33, and I've been enjoying this, gotta be honest. It gives me something to do. But I realize that editing these things down to maybe 3 minutes, which is kind of like max attention span of the average YouTube watcher. I mean, I don't even watch things that are more than a few minutes on YouTube, and I watch them at 1.5x speed. I watch everything at 1.5, sometimes 2x speed. YouTube, I'm watching like Colbert and The Daily Show and all that at 2x speed. And it's kind of insane because, you know, they talk, it's obviously like pitch controlled, but very, very, you know, sped up in a very unnatural way, but it becomes kind of normal to your ear very quickly. You become accustomed to it pretty quickly when you watch stuff like that. And then when you slow it back down to normal speed, 1x speed, people just sound drunk. They sound like they're talking really slow. You're like, is this real life? Is real life just this slow? So that's odd. That really messes things up. Whoa, it's a windy day today. Look at these choppy waters here, and I'm sure you can hear it in the wind. There's tons of wind right now. The voice is probably really tinny and impossible to hear. Maybe that's a plus. So yeah, editing is an important component to video production. I've known that for a long time. I used to do films in college, actually in high school too. I always thought I would do documentaries, but now's my opportunity to kind of come back to the craft and try my hand again, but this time, you know, well, as a content creator, but just focusing on making the content good and compelling. So Rob had some really good points, as you can imagine. He's a super sharp guy, and one of the things he said was like, well, this could be a very niche kind of a program that, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 people in New York City who give a shit about a guy or gal talking about bike lane infrastructure and all that and ranting about it for 20 minutes could be compelling, but only for a kind of a select group. And that in order to make this, whatever this is, something that's a little bit more compelling for an average audience, you need to change use the format, but change up the content a little bit. And so we were sort of brainstorming a couple of ideas. Like, I've always thought this could be like comedians in cars getting coffee, but instead you call it commuters on bikes talking about, you know, or wait, what did I call it? Cyclists on bikes commuting to work, or something like that. You know, some play on that, which is just basically like, well, we're just biking and discussing things. And then you get to the sort of topic. Do you just talk about bike related stuff or street safety? Because that's kind of a narrow thing. And I think what's really interesting is to make this content like more accessible and compelling for just regular people. You kind of have to talk about regular things, but normalize the format, like normalize the medium. So you're like, hey, we're gonna just talk about, you know, how you started biking, or how you got your job, and what you like about New York, and your favorite slice of pizza, or whatever. But do it all in the format of biking throughout New York City, where you can, during the course of a conversation, you can casually mention all the problems that you see, or all the opportunities that you see in the bike lane. Right, that sort of a thing. Where you can say, like, this is an area where someone was killed, or this is an area where there's an intersection that's super dangerous. And, you know, we just counted 27 cars in bike lanes. And it's not the focus, it's more the background. I always find that interesting, like in movies, you basically always see conversations in cars. It's always like, cars are always the backdrop. So they are normalized. And it's very rare to see two characters in a television show or a movie, like, on a bike, talking about whatever, just their character, you know, their just normal show. Like, wow, it's super windy here. And it's so rare that whenever I see it, I call it out. I'm like, holy crap, this is so cool. So one place that I saw it was on Broad City, where I think Broad City is one, quintessential New York City, you know, Brooklyn backdrop for Alana Glazer and Abby something. Amazing show. But in several of them, of the episodes, you see Ilana is riding her 10-speed. You know, she's riding her bike, talking on the phone, you know, commenting about things. And it's fascinating because it's so rare. Like, you never see this in TV, movies, anything, even about New York City. And there's tons and tons of movies that take place in New York City, but do not capture this, like, segment of the experience. It's always windshield perspectives in movies. I'll tell you, the cruddiest ones are that terrible Robin Williams movie. I hate to disparage his name, but I think the last movie he ever made, which was like the grumpiest shitty movie in Brooklyn, the grumpiest guy in Brooklyn or something. And in it, he's just literally arguing and yelling about driving and parking around New York City, and like upset that he can't go faster, and, you know, all this nonsense. And it's like so not New York City. It's like, okay, people like complain, but like on real New Yorker would say, all right, I gotta get to wherever really fast because I think he has like cancer or something in it. And you just take the goddamn subway, you know? You'd walk. You would already have a pretty good sense of your transit options, and taking your personal car and then like complaining that, or taking a cab, I forget. I think he does multiple things throughout this stupid movie. So that's one. And then the other one is with Dustin Hoffman, the one with I forget, the like super rich family on the Upper West Side or something, with Adam Sandler and Dustin Hoffman, a bunch of them. And it starts with these nincompoops who are overtly rich, like they own a whole brownstone on the Upper East Side or something, and they are complaining about parking and trying to find a free space, right? And so, okay, I guess I could bike that, oh, isn't that funny? It's like this family that's really rich is being really cheap about, you know, kind of stupid things. But that's not really, that wasn't really the joke in this whole like opening sequence. It was just like a honest like portrayal. They were like, oh, well, I don't want to pay, you know, $27 an hour for market rate parking on the Upper East Side or whatever, or wherever they are, Soho or something, you know, some ridiculous place that should have been car-free decades ago. And yeah, so I don't know. So those kinds of things are what you see, but what you don't see is the Alana Glazer kind of discussion. Oh, and also, yeah, actually, no, also you see one of the best ones is high maintenance, which got, you know, bought up by HBO, but shows, you know, a weed dealer who bikes everywhere, because obviously it's the easiest, sort of probably safest, given the maybe risk that he has with carrying, you know, weed, before it was decriminalized. But he's riding around, and so you see all these shots of him biking around, and I love that. I mean, the show's amazing anyway. I mean, it's amazing for so many other reasons, but it is also so rare to see that kind of footage, you know? And you see, like, there's snapshots of New York City the way it kind of really is in some movies and TV shows and stuff, but yeah. But usually it's just this backdrop. And it's not even, like, the subway is something that 8 million people ride every day. And yet even the subway is a rare backdrop for conversations for movies in New York City. They're always driving, and I get that cinematically driving is more maybe compelling as a, you know, visually. You can have like chase scenes and things like Fast and Furious 27, whatever the last one was, where they're literally doing like 90 miles an hour down 6th Avenue and miraculously splitting traffic and getting all the cars out of the way, because what did they do? I think in one scene they start controlling the red lights. Of course, that's like a common trope. You're like, yeah, the red lights would totally do it. Make it green, and then everybody just goes. And it's like, obviously that's not how physics works, because there's too many fucking cars. And then the other thing that they did, which was hilarious, is they took advantage of autonomous vehicles, and they hacked into all the motors and the engines of all these new vehicles and made them all like swarm like zombie cars. And they all just like drove around as like a swarm of cars with like mindlessly going places and stuff. And that's pretty amusing and so like preposterous. Also, that would lead to like literally thousands and thousands of deaths. Like those scenes in New York City, they of course show like little moments where somebody like jumps out of the way, you know, of a speeding car going 90. In real life, of course, that's not what happens. The woman, you know, or man with the carriage or the kid or whatever doesn't just like jump out of the way. That's ridiculous. They just get hit and killed. Oh, it's running here. So, anyway, what were we talking about? So yeah, the format of the show would be something a little more like people talking about regular topics, you know, a little more like kind of lighthearted conversations, you know, learning the stories of people. I mean, I think there's room in between. There's something where like you don't have to not talk about bikes at all, but you don't have to talk about like advocacy, really heavy-handed stuff, because people just don't want to hear that. But I think the stories that are interesting is people who don't ride bikes in New York, and I guess anywhere really, do not really notice cyclists. I mean, I think they notice them in that some people are like, I almost was hit by one, but they somehow don't notice cars. But they don't really know like the stories behind all these people who have who are on various bikes, like what got them into biking, you know, why they ride, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be heavy-handed. I think these are very personal kind of stories. I tried to touch on that with some of my couple of interviews that I did. And I think if I did that, but maybe a little bit more focused, oh man, a little bit more focused, obviously better, slightly better equipment, but I mean just better audio. I think I can mic 2 people and it wouldn't be too bad. Something like that. I mean, part of the appeal is like, I just like the idea that I randomly bump into somebody and then can chat with them. But, so it's very real worldy, like it's the spontaneity that cycling provides. And I think like just by actually seeing it in, you know, actually happen, it is kind of rare. I don't just like randomly run into people all the time. And I certainly don't like easily just like start conversations. But in any case, everybody's got a story. So like, I would totally do this, like comedians in cars getting coffee. I mean, it's basically the exact same kind of format. I think Rob said, you know, you can make it about biking through the city to get somewhere, and then you get there and then have a conversation there. But your mode was, you know, by bike, so that's kind of interesting. The thing about the cars, so that's the coffee part. The comedians is obviously people who ride bikes, so any kind of cyclist. Which, by the way, like tons of people are cyclists. They can also own cars. They can also, you know, be parents or elderly or whatever. You know, they can also take the subway 12 times a day or whatever and also ride a bike. Like, it's not one or the other. I don't define myself as a cyclist. Oh, look at this. They're putting down some paint. Finally. That's cool. They're repainting this. That'll be nice. Maybe they can fix some of these potholes and crap on the side. But, all right, I'll take it. So I think one of the things I noticed, because I started looking at bikes a little closer, is just like the type of bikes that people have. And they really are like, they are unique. There are so many, you know, so many people have, like, really take pride in their bikes the same way that, whatever, middle America, you know, takes pride in their cars, or suburban America rather. You know, you're like, I'm gonna wash this baby and it's amazing, whatever. But I think there's obviously people who just buy the cheapest kind of junker bike and it's fine, it's good, it's like, that's amazing. It's one of the most amazing things. It's like, you don't need to spend much. The minimum that you can spend is like very little, right? And then you can use all of the infrastructure and bike around and be just as fast as somebody on a much more expensive bike. It doesn't really matter. We're all kind of like first class on the airline and, you know, in coach. We're all gonna land at the same time, you know? So, but I would love to hear the stories of how people, now that I have a bike, I would love to hear the stories of how people sort of outfitted their own. Oh, this guy's having some trouble here. Ah, forgot it. Dropped something. I'd love to hear stories about people's bikes. Like, oh yeah, you know, I did this, I put this kind of horn in, I have these kinds of brakes, I've gotten flats, you know, all that kind of stuff. Because there's like a whole, like many of these bikes are pretty different. It's not like everything's an SUV. Like when you look at New York City streets, it's pretty boring. Like for cars, like if you're a car lover, you're like, it's very rare to find interesting cars. I mean, look over here. It's like minivan, Toyota Camry, Toyota SUV, minivan. Okay, good job. Like, it's pretty cruddy. They all look the same. Like literally this Acura SUV looks the same as the Nissan SUV that's in front of this Jeep that has these gigantic wheels. Anything that's even remotely interesting, like this, maybe this Jeep, is also like incredibly deadly and shouldn't be on the streets anyway. So it's kind of like a little bit of a catch-22. Like anything that catches your eye, where you're like, boy, that's a cool car, it's a Lamborghini. You're like, okay, but you should definitely not be driving that in New York City, because you're definitely driving it way too fast. So yeah, so like this Acura SUV, cool, boring. This guy's on his phone. This person's on his phone. It's black. Look at this Nissan, he's on his phone. JHP 5957. Literally this stuff is so, this guy's literally on his phone, now he's calling on the Jeep. HZR 3668, I think, but I'll probably catch up to him. Toyota Camry, Toyota Sienna. So boring. But when you look at the bikes, okay, you can sort of remove the city bikes. The city bikes are not interesting bikes. I mean, they are, I think once you learn about them, you're like, cool, got it. You don't really need to learn much more about them. But I think the people who ride them are fascinating, because these are people who they're not riding their own bikes. They may or may not own bikes. They are definitely pedestrians. They're almost all like multi-mode transit people. They're probably people who are not like super advocacy types. They're just like, oh dude, I just ride a bike so I can get to where I want to go like faster, you know? And that's really interesting. It's like no big deal. Because those are the people who normalize this mode of transportation. Oh yeah, hey, look at that. Did I catch up to these guys? Oh no, I don't think I caught up. Like the people who just are like, yeah, I mean, I just started city biking and I go like 10 blocks here and 20 blocks there, and it's way faster than the subway, and I just don't want to deal with it. And I save money, and it's a lot more fun and super convenient. Those are the people who normalize this behavior, right? Who make biking like safe, right? They're not, I mean, yeah, they're just their presence, just the number of people out is really impactful, because you have to be seen. You have to take up space. Oh, this guy is dinging his bell. TLC, Blue Stripe, TLC, DOC, truck. I would love to run all of these plates and check the violations as they go by and see how when changes happen, if the number of, so you could get a baseline and be like, all right, at any given 5-minute period on the West Side Highway at a certain time, it's the type of drivers that are coming through. The average car has a certain number of speeding violations. Cool, FAH 7899. You got this blue car. Everything is backed up. Oh, but he's in a Lamborghini, so he's important. JJZ 9003. Lamborghini SUV. This is my Lambo. Oh, and a Porsche too. A Porsche. Wow. TLC Porsche. That's cool. Well, this is a disaster here. Thank you to Starrett Lehigh for their bus van, whatever, sitting in the middle of the bike lane, making this totally unusable. Hey, I'm in front of the Lambo. The Lamborghini. Oh man, this is great. So this is a package delivery lane. I don't blame this guy because there's no room to go. It's going. It's literally like, where is he gonna push this thing? He actually, so take a look at this. This is a UPS driver who did the right thing. I mean, more or less. Okay, I'm gonna give him a B minus for that parking job. But he parked over here at a legal spot. And then he's unloading all of his UPS packages. Now, in order to do that, he's got a giant, you know, wagon for the let's call it the last block. There's last mile and then there's like the last block. So he's got to move all of his, you know, 1,000 packages to deliver them to a building, but there's no place for him to walk it. He can't really walk it on the sidewalk because these sidewalks are so cruddy and congested. It's just like these little strips, right? I mean, here there's some room, but like, look at how narrow it becomes. There's scaffolding in the way, there's all kinds of stuff. So he's taking the street, which is generally like the safest way to go. But then on top of that, there's no room in the street, so he has to go on the bike lane. Is he still there? Can't really see him, right? But you got curb cuts here, so he's able to come through and do it somewhat safely. And that's why these bike lanes really need to be like way, way wider. Like, there should be no parking here. All of the parking should be loading zones. Because look at what happens. You have someone who is like trying to follow the rules, quote unquote, the rules, which are like very inconsistent, random, and never enforced. But the rule, unless you're a cyclist, right? But it's like very poorly thought out. There's no consideration. Like, wait, there's how many trucks are delivering things every day at this location? Where are they going? What data do we have? Okay, well, you know what? All of this parking should be eliminated because that doesn't make any sense. Nothing can get through. These bike lanes should really be way bigger. Right, so like here, somebody can get through a lot more comfortably. Right, so if I had to share this space, like, there's plenty of buffer here. Now I get that you don't really have the room on the other side, but only because both sides of the goddamn street are covered in car storage, right? Not delivery, you know, routes where somebody could unload their UPS delivery or garbage pickup or whatever the case may be. All right, that's me. Thanks for watching. I think this is a fun episode. I had fun today. It's Jeff, biketalk.nyc. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you this afternoon.